sure.
So then, okay, I'm going to kind of go into the record a little bit. Just do your best. I just know that this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever asked you this, or maybe I did, because I always ask you about Driving the Soul. Like, I love all the songs, but I'm saying, like, that was just one junior year of high school till now. Like I know people that I bring up Headfirst, first thing they say, da-na-na-na-na-na, like that, like, grabs them. My question for you is, why was it called that? To the best of your knowledge.
I think, if I can remember correctly, I think a lot of that song had to do with, reopening wounds and having this open wound caused by, conflicts with somebody or something, and then having people or a person around you that feels like they're just right in that wound, just sticking a finger in there and just irritating it, and so driving the salt, basically just pushing that salt right into the wound. And I think also I was probably trying to be clever at that point. I don't.
Okay, so now moving to the song after that, Now Who's Alone? How'd that bell get in there? I've always wondered about the bell. I'm like, where does the bell fit in? Not that I don't like it. Where does it fit in?
That's a good question. That was probably us just screwing around in For the Record. Kevin wrote that song. Now Who's Alone, right?
Yeah.
Kevin wrote that song, lyrics and everything. I think I threw in a couple of lyrics. But musically, I think it was it might have just been in the studio, and we used it, honestly. And I'm pretty sure that's how that happened.
Kevin often talks about the drums on that record, and he's like, I don't like that they're triggered. And I think that's what a lot of people do like, because it sounded so different. What is your take on that?
So, it was difficult. I think, one, you come from a punk rock thing, right? And it's just like, plug in your guitars, find the cheapest drum kit you can afford, most expensive you could afford, I guess, which was about $300 at the time, maybe. And then take that in and play it and beat the shit out of it. Well, we go into the studio and realize, like, Kevin's banana-colored drum kit probably didn't sound that great once it was all mic'd up and perfect. And, who knows if Kevin was great at tuning them at that point. I don't remember. But what we found out was, hey, man, you can just trigger them. And we're like, what's that? And so we kind of learned, at least I did, learned that, hey, you know what? You can hit this drum, no matter what it sounds like over here, it sounds amazing over here, right? And you can make them sound like anything you want. So we played around with that a lot. I think a lot of people thought when that record came out it was super overproduced, and it probably was, because we were screwing around with it for so long. We probably overdid it a little bit. I think the drums are really crisp and clear, but I get Kevin's take. It does sound a little processed, for lack of a better description. But I think they sound big. I mean, his drum playing was really good on that record, I thought.
Yeah.
Kevin will disparage himself all day. It's the Kevin I remember. So I understand him saying, I played like shit, or this sounds like shit. No, he didn't. He played really well, and his drums always sounded great. I think in the studio playing around with it, we just got too into it, too into some of those noises and triggers and effects and stuff.
So I'm going to shoot song titles at you.
Oh boy.
And you just say as much or as little. You can even do it as word associations. So like I say it and it's one word. Mind of Man.
Ooh, Mind of Man.
Because that's a great song, in my opinion, to begin the album. Just because, to me, in so many ways, it really says, like, hey, if you thought you knew what this band was, listen to it. Because I remember when I first played it, I was like, what the hell is going? But in, like, a good way. I was like, okay.
So that was, again, I think a lot, at least for me, my Verbal Assault influence, like Trial, was on constant rotation, right? So, you know, that was probably my favorite song on the record. I think that and Driving the Salt. It was fun to play live. Lyrically, I can't recall exactly what why I wrote that song the way I did. But it was generally, you know, social issues and I don't even know, sexism and those types of things that were playing into the lyric writing there. But the song itself, I mean, I loved it. It rocked. It was a more up tempo, and so I loved to play it live. And I really wanted to get back to playing like 7-inch style, like fast stuff. So that was like one of the faster songs on that record, So I really enjoyed it. Plus, it has like a riff in it that it always reminded me of like Guns N' Roses, Paradise City for some reason. And I hate Guns N' Roses, but it was always funny. It always reminded me of that.
Falling.
Okay. If I can remember straight, that had to do with people constantly, and specifically those people on like the right and the Christian right, always attacking the art and as pornography or satanic or whatever it might be. That was a tough song for me because it was slow and it was quieter and more mellow, and it was a little more talky. So we actually did, I think on the CD, there's 2 versions of that, 2 different mixes of it. I don't know why we put that on there twice, but
that was actually a question. You just answered another question. It said Falling 2. Why? Perfect.
It was like a weirder mix, like a more, I don't know, a lot more reverb on it, a lot more effect on it, and same song. We just kind of messed around with it a little bit more, and I honestly have no idea. I think we probably threw it on there just for filler. But that was a tougher one, and we rarely played that live. I don't remember playing that live more than a handful of times. It wasn't one that really got the crowd moving, you know what I mean?
What about Images?
So Images was
because you had to have liked that, because that was like you know what I mean? That's a faster.
Yeah, I really like that one. I wish I had spent more time writing better lyrics for that one. It had mostly to do with humans attacking the environment and that we live in and destroying the planet that we live on, that sort of thing. And I really enjoyed that one because it kicked ass, and I love Mike's dive bomb in the middle of that, right after the lead. He goes into that crushing lead. And I've always loved that. And the way I don't know if it came out that way on the record so much. I'd have to listen to it again. But the way it was intended was that dive bomb ends with, and it goes right back into the song again. So it was pretty macho. I really did like that one.